A Shinn Show, a Shinn Show, a Shinn Show, a Shinn Show. All right, so it's a Shinn Show, and I'm Pete Shinn. Joining me via Discord is Bradley Hamilton, Nick Shinn, and Sarah Shinn.
Yo.
How goes it, everybody?
It goes fantastic. Goes fantastically well. Now, Nick, it's been just you and I up to this point, so I think we should give an opportunity to introduce the other folks who will be participating on a regular basis. Let's start with Bradley. Bradley, can you just share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am a high school junior of age 16, so when the topic becomes political, you should definitely listen to my opinion. I know what I'm talking about. Known Pete for about 2 years now, so we've developed quite a close bond. And that should obviously show in the podcast.
Right. We've developed such a close bond that he doesn't know how long he's known me. He's actually known me for a little longer than that. Huh? So anyway, but that's not germane. It's not relevant, but it is interesting. So, all right. Well, Brad, thanks for introducing yourself. And now the newest addition to the podcast is, of course, Sarah Shinn. Sarah, just a little bit about your background.
I'm Pete Shinn's one and bestest daughter.
That's true.
Currently older than the other two gentlemen on
currently
this podcast.
And probably will stay older
than the other two. I'm just so pleased to be here, and I hope that we have a good time.
I will tell you right now, we're delighted to have you here, and I think both you, Bradley, and you, Sarah, are going to be additive to the entire experience.
So, Dad.
Yes.
You said you had some you had some shit lined up.
Well, I do have some stuff lined up, but before we get into any of that, I think we should also thank our sponsor, Fins. Oh, no, it's Ziffs, right?
Ziffs. God damn it, dude. Zips. You got to get it right.
I thought it was Zips.
It's Ziffs. No, Zips is the actual name of the actual football team that we were incorrectly pronouncing the entire 45-minute tirade we had on it. Ziffs is the Mediterranean bar and cafe in New Zealand.
That's right.
That is home to a variety of delicious cuisine and generous portions.
That's right.
So they're sponsoring us. We'd like to give a big shout out to Ziffs. Make sure everybody get on down to Ziffs for your Mediterranean. I'm going to say Mediterranean. I keep saying that. I don't think that's what they serve.
I don't think it is either.
Like I thought it was like a lunch place.
You could have, they may have one type of Mediterranean-esque sandwich there that you can get. Make sure you get that one, okay? Stop on down to Ziffs, everybody.
That's right. They're conveniently located in Invercargill, New Zealand. So next time you're in Invercargill, be sure and stop by Ziffs, who's sponsoring a Shinn Show. And we should also mention just real quick that we have changed the name yet again of this podcast to A Shinn Show after listener feedback. We're receptive to the listeners. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Right. So let's move on to some of the key topics of this week's news cycle, if you will, starting with Hurricane Florence. I'm just going to say it seems like a bad deal for people in the Carolinas.
Hey, didn't it got downgraded, though, from a 4 to a 2?
To a 1.
Down to a 1?
Yeah,
but like when did it, what category was it when it hit land?
1.
It was almost 5. They were like, it was either borderline 4 or 5.
Brad,
I think it was a 4 when it hit.
No, Brad, you're entirely incorrect.
Great.
No, you're wrong. It was a 4 when it was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. When it hit, it was a 1. But none of that is actually germane. What's germane is
relevant?
That, if you will, yes, relevant, is that it spread out when it hit. So even though it was only a category 1, which is still, a big deal.
Still a hurricane.
Yeah, still 90 mile per hour winds.
Good point.
That's nothing.
But it spread out over.
105 mile per hour winds for breakfast.
Wow, you guys are tough.
All right, I don't know where I'm going with that. I was going to make it
a whole thing,
a whole bit, but it's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not. Although I will say, it gets windy in Nebraska.
It does.
We should say right now at the outset that you, Sarah, and Nick are both in Omaha, Nebraska, while Brad and I are both in Chesapeake Beach, Maryland, right near our nation's capital. You are in the capital of the wind tunnel of the Great Plains.
Is that an honor that we hold?
Well,
is there a wind tunnel of the Great Plains? I feel like that's kind of redundant. I feel like the Great Plains is a wind tunnel.
Well, that's a good point.
It's a plains and a tunnel at the same time. That's what's magical
about the capital.
Midwest. That's what keeps everyone coming back.
Although Bradley, I heard him pipe in that saying you're in the capital. That's a common misconception that Omaha is the capital of Nebraska.
Though we are superior.
Yeah, we are. Omaha's better than Lincoln just in almost every conceivable way, but we are not the capital. We're just the biggest city.
That's true.
In fact, we might put a petition to change that. Although I don't know.
No,
if
I
we
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No.
I was merely referring to the capital of the wind tunnel, not so much the state.
That might have been
Okay.
where you got that.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't dispute that because I did not know about
Although I
it
gotta
until-
say, I've never heard that before. I've never heard the wind tunnel.
No, because I made it up.
Well, now you've shattered the illusion.
Yeah, well,
It was,
whatever.
I was
It's
just,
over, man.
there was a turn of phrase. The point being is that you are subject to some severe winds in Omaha, Nebraska. 100
Yeah.
mile an
Right.
hour winds do happen there. And there's this thing called a tornado, microbursts. You guys are subject to all that stuff.
Yes. So, yes.
So when you say 90
Yeah.
mile an hour winds are not a big deal, I understand where you're coming from. Not everyone would understand. I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little. I mean,
yeah.
come
Yeah.
on. But
I'm not a fan of them. I certainly don't eat them
I
for
did-
breakfast or any meal for that matter.
well, you get bugs in your larynx, you see.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
All right. So the point is there's a lot of trouble in the Carolinas due to Florence. That's the whole point. We're not trying to minimize what's going on there in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form.
yeah, no. That's
Well, I mean-
it's a bad deal. It's tragic.
Isn't it like wasn't the like you said, it spread out, right? So wasn't it like the entirety of South Carolina
And
like the
North
breadth
Carolina.
of the Carolinas?
Yeah,
It's
it's
a big,
something
like
like
the
that.
entire state.
Yeah, it's big.
Got
I mean,
hammered.
I'm not a weather forecaster. I'm not a climatologist, so I can't say exactly what areas it covered, but it was a lot. And I can tell you that we're talking about feet of rain, not inches, feet.
Yeah, that's bad.
It
Okay.
is.
That's a lot.
You know,
What kind of crops do they grow in is it South Carolina we're talking
Cotton.
about?
Only a person pursuing a degree in horticulture would ask, so what kind of crops do they grow down there?
that's horticulture, not agriculture. Come on.
Well, horticulture is agriculture.
It is.
You're
And
not helping
agriculture is
yourself.
whatever crops they grow down there, doesn't matter. Whatever they grow down there, it's going to be a bad season.
Well, yeah, right. You're absolutely right. There's going to be some trouble with, harvesting, I would think, because the fields will be underwater. So it mainly is like South Carolina. I'm thinking a lot of soybeans. Corn has gotten a lot more plentiful in a lot of places where it didn't used to be a regular crop just because the price of energy has been monetized into corn through ethanol. So they probably grow some corn down there. I think it's a little too far north for cotton, but I could be wrong about that. They might grow some cotton there. The big thing in North Carolina, though, is that North Carolina is, depending on the year, number 1 or number 2 for hog production. And all of this rain has got to be a concern in terms of hog lagoons and waste.
Yeah.
Oh, hog lagoon. Let's just take a second to consider those two words put together. Hog lagoon.
Be a good pen name.
I'm going to look up. Does anyone know off the top of their head what the definition of a lagoon is?
It's like a series of islands just in the middle of nowhere. No,
No,
that's
you're
archipelago.
thinking
I
of
have
yeah,
no idea.
that is
It's a stretch
archipelago.
of salt water separated from the sea by a low sandbank or coral reef. Basically, it's a stagnant pool. All right, that's what a lagoon is.
A small
And just-
freshwater lake near a larger lake or river.
Yeah. Now, you want to talk about a hog lagoon? Can you imagine
The stench.
the stench? All right. Regular hogs, regular lagoons, separate 100%. Already stink. Pretty
Hog
bad.
Lagoon?
A hog
Right.
lagoon,
We should make that into a haunted house.
The hog
A
lagoon.
the
Midwest-
hog lagoon.
Yeah, a Midwestern.
Yeah,
special.
strap into this scuba gear. We're gonna take you down to the bottom of this lake and hold you down there for slightly longer than than your air allows for. Yeah,
Paramedics will be on site.
bloated hog corpses floating intermittently throughout the attraction.
That's actually the new name of the podcast now. We're going to change it to Hog Lagoon.
The hog lagoon. Welcome to the hog
The
lagoon.
hog lagoon. That's not bad.
That isn't. That's
That's I feel like there's a certain number of things that you will watch or read or listen to just because, well, at least one time, just because of the name.
A Shinn Show.
a
The
Shinn
genuine
Show
hog
is an
lagoon.
example. But you're right.
That could be the whole name. A Shinn Show, the genuine hog lagoon. Be That's pretty good, actually. I do like that. We can just say that that's a thing. We can,
put it in
just call it a
parentheses.
Shinn Show. But like way down the line, we'll be like, yeah, actually, the whole name is a Shinn Show, the genuine
is.
hog lagoon.
You know, you can sneak that in like each show, though. You're like the genuine hog lagoon.
Well,
Okay.
That's a good one.
I do like it. But
All right.
so I'll just say this, that when I think of hog lagoon, the image that comes to my mind is hogs in sunglasses and bathing trunks lounging. That's what comes
Well,
to my
that's-
mind.
That's an idyllic.
Lounging on a beach, I assume.
Yeah, well, on a beach with a small enclosed beach, lagoon style, like on Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
Lagoon
so
style.
a peaceful lagoon.
A peaceful
Not
lagoon.
Not a stank lagoon.
Yeah, not one that's
It's
filled
not
with
some sort of
feces.
horrid, fetid, monstrous nightmare lagoon.
I can see why, given our difference in personalities, those views would be different.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Okay, I had this idea. All right,
Yes?
this is just coming back to the thing that like some things because of the name, you'll just watch it or listen to it. Those movies where it's two completely different movies and then they just mash them together. Aliens versus Predator.
Okay.
Freddy versus Jason.
I mean, those aren't dissimilar, but okay.
Well, they're different movies though. They're
They
not in
are.
the same. All right, so I mean they made them in the same universe, but all right, so there's a movie. It's called Wrong Turn. It's
Okay.
like these people go into the woods and there's like these inbred hillbillies there. They're like some
Like
sure they
the
got
Hills
some.
Have Eyes.
Yeah, just like The Hills Have Eyes.
Okay.
Okay, so and my second point, there's a movie called The Hills Have Eyes. So what if you made a mashup movie where the people from The Hills Have Eyes and the people from Wrong Turn got in, there's a main character, he's a normal guy, maybe out with his girlfriend camp, and he gets caught in between the war between Wrong Turn and Hills Have Eyes people.
So
Okay?
basically, Nebraska versus Iowa.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Or Nebraska versus Utah, whatever
Okay.
you want to call it. You gotta call it something else. Too much of a mouthful. So boom, inbred war.
Inbred
If you were
war.
driving by the movie theater, you didn't hear any trailers for it. You just look up on the marquee and you see inbred war. Wouldn't you want to go see it? I would.
Okay, so all right, now I'm 52
I
years
would
old.
definitely look it up.
You would say I'm 52, and if I saw a movie called Inbred War, I would be like, I'm going to give that a hard pass.
Rework the title.
Yeah, you're right. Because that would be a good movie. I don't care what nobody says.
But you're right. Obviously, you don't care what anybody says because you've just told me that everybody who has heard about this movie says I don't like it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of hell no, I wouldn't see that. Why would you say that? That's disgusting.
And so on.
I'm glad to be the first person that thinks that Inbred Wars is a fantastic idea.
Would you go see that, dude? If one of
I
your friends
would-
like, bro, there's at the Dollar Theater, there's some movie called fucking Inbred War. I don't even know what it's. That's all I know. You want to go see it?
I would see that without question. Like he would say,
Yeah.
he
Are you
all he would
serious,
say
dude?
is
I'd be like,
Inbred Wars.
what? Inbred War? I'm definitely going to see that.
Before we
Your target demographic is 15-year-olds.
Hey, man, they
16.
got money.
16, I apologize.
No, it's fine.
But nevertheless, I think that is designed to appeal to a specific demographic, which is why Bradley recently went and saw The Nun. And he has this review. Brad, lay it on us.
The Nun is, if you don't know, a prequel to the Conjuring series. And what I have to say about it is indeed a good movie, but I think they used all the good parts of said movie in the trailer. It's the
I'm sorry,
worst.
continue.
Like, if you just want to watch it, if like all you can see is this extended trailer, just 10 minutes of the extended trailer, and you don't have to go see the movie. Everything was in the trailer. I could just have watched the trailer like 5 times and would have gone home. It would have been fine.
That is probably my number one pet peeve with trailers these days. Like, I don't like to watch previews because they show the entire movie in this trailer.
Yeah, we're watching. I got this GIF up right now of somebody peeling skin off a snake.
Yeah, I
like how
saw
they
that.
shed skin.
Yeah, I saw
But
that on
someone's just
Reddit.
doing it for the snake.
Yeah.
Snake's some kind of lazy bitch. It's crazy. It looks really gross. It's
Yeah.
mesmerizing though.
But back to the movie review. Brad.
Yeah.
So what is on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I would give it like just a straight up 5. Like there's nothing extraordinary. They tried to have this one random, I think he's French, some French guy for comic relief. He doesn't do a good job. Think there's a side plot. Like they hint at some side plot, but it's not there. They didn't show any of the real ending, which I'm really glad they didn't. Spoiler warning. I'm about to tell you the ending, but you don't want to see the movie anyway, so it doesn't matter. It ends in this like weird pool of what if like green Gatorade and someone has the blood of Christ and it just like bursts it in the pool or something like that, and the demon like Valak or something starts screaming, and then the comic relief guy gets possessed, and then it just ends. Like there's nothing else happens.
Wait,
And-
so what was that about? Demon
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Gatorade?
There's a giant like pool of water in this like old monastery, I think it's the term. And like this giant weird pool of water, of like this greenish kind of neon looking pool. and below it is like a gateway to hell that the demon crawled out of. It's a wreck. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So not a good movie.
No.
Well, but is it worth catching on Netflix, perhaps?
If you're really bored and have nothing else to do and want your friends to hate you.
And you haven't seen the trailer.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love when like the trailer of a movie just like they reveal like the twist in the trailer, a huge plot device. That was
the whole point.
Yeah. Is there another twist?
Oh yeah, well the other guy gets possessed, and it just kind of ends there. They don't do anything with the twist.
Well, that is the prequel to, the Conjuring, all the Conjuring movies.
But
that
it
French
doesn't
dude.
Explain
Somebody else told me this. One of my friends, they went and saw it too. They did not like it either. But they said that the French dude at the end of the movie who's possessed is the French dude at the beginning of the first Conjuring movie when she's like, dude, I can't remember. It's the dude and his wife. They're like, a tag team. Demonologists, yeah. And
Aren't these the con artists?
In real, these people did exist and they were con artists, yeah. But in real life, they weren't demonologists, they were pieces of shit. But that's not the point. Yeah, I've seen every one of those movies except The Nun, and I can't remember a single goddamn one of them.
And yet you hate
all I
those
remember
people so strongly.
Well, because I looked it up, and it was probably an article I saw on Reddit, but like, those people from The Conjuring, because it always says like, based on a true story. It's real people. Real people really
got ripped off.
Yeah, there was some real people who really got ripped off by these real pieces of shit. So
real people, real assholes.
But that doesn't sell as a movie unless it's a documentary, and even then. So
bottom line,
there's the Nun wrapped up a little bow for you.
Right, and the bottom line is that
shit covered bow,
as it were. So to sum up the whole discussion of the Nun and the Conjuring series, unmemorable. The Nun, not worth seeing. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad we covered that.
The Nun is creepy, though. Like, as a standalone character, no thank you.
Well, just nuns.
You want to see.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about just in general nuns?
Yeah, just nuns.
Well,
something off about them.
But
I am.
But Nick is.
I know it's an unpopular opinion. I'm sticking with it. I'm staying by my guns, dude.
Do you remember the nuns that lived across the street from Hayward?
Yeah.
All right, so
they lived there?
Yeah.
What are you talking
there's a
about?
church behind Hayward.
There's this school, this elementary school
that
in
we all went to
Nebraska called Hayward, and there's these nuns that lived across the street.
Did you have an unfortunate experience? Is that what?
Maybe I'm blocking it out right now. Them standing across the street, wringing their hands and looking worriedly at the children.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that has been fabricated in your mind.
I'm pretty sure it has been.
All I remember is that they drove a Nissan Cube.
That's odd.
Very holy.
It was weird seeing these nuns piling in and out of a shoebox.
Yeah, like aren't you guys supposed to be like driving a horse buggy?
Driving a what?
They're not Amish.
No. Right.
Driving a horse and buggy? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
No, they're not supposed to be. Nuns are not Amish. I'm with Bradley on this one. Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, we all are, but
yeah.
Nick. Okay, so Nick doesn't like nuns. I'm keeping that for some sort of something to use later.
Not like I don't like them. It's just
they're unsettling.
They make me uncomfortable.
Right.
Doesn't trust
so nuns are to you as clowns are to many people, which is interesting. I'll tell you what's interesting about that to me is that these days many people feel that way about priests rather than nuns.
But there's there's precedent for that.
I would feel much safer in a room with a nun than a priest.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Well, especially since you are, in fact, a boy.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's a boy anymore.
Yeah, I'm not like a boy. I don't have a propeller hat and a fucking 1950s old-timey lollipop. Some overalls on a tricycle. Excuse me, I'm lost.
Right. No,
Save the role play for the priest.
Nick, I blame myself for this because I brought this up, so I apologize to anybody who might be offended by any of those remarks. But what I will say is this. Yes, you are indeed a grown-ass man. So that's a fair statement.
I have to go back to the nun for a second because when you mentioned the priest, there was a priest there. He didn't really look like a priest. He just had this weird hat on. It's like a fedora. But there was one joke he said in the movie that was single-handedly like just one of the worst, just forced jokes. I like that. Oh, it was awful. Okay, so to sum it up, they find this artifact. It has Jesus' blood in it. And the French guy, comic relief, is like, holy shit. And then the priest looks up at him and goes, "The holiest." And I died inside.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I died inside.
I might have gotten up and walked out right there.
It was near
I'm
the
like,
end.
no, I'm done. I'm done.
Have any of you guys actually got up and walked out of a movie?
Yeah.
Because
I had a
never
few
have I
walks
wanted to
like
do that more than Monster.
Yeah. We
Then
mentioned
when?
that once on our last podcast, The Master.
Oh.
And I
that
feel like I
sounds
listened to
terrible.
our podcast and like we glossed over The Master, but like we didn't really explain what about this movie was so terrible. So let me
Everything.
Well,
Top to
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, so it has Joaquin Phoenix and
Ooh.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. Joaquin Phoenix, like Philip Seymour Hoffman is the master of some kind
I'm
of
gonna
cult.
pause you just for a second, Dad. If
Yes.
you haven't already, please subject Bradley to this horror.
No, he
Take
won't
him
watch
down
it.
if
He
you
won't
have
fucking
to.
watch it. He already knows. We've already. The jig's up. We didn't know. We went in hopeful. Oh, it's Joaquin Phoenix, Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's gonna be so good.
Hey, don't
They're
forget.
good actors, and they were good actors in that movie. Anyway, the point is, Philip Seymour Hoffman is a fucking cult master. Joaquin Phoenix is fresh out of the Navy or
But
some
even
shit.
that's not clear. That he's a cult master?
Well, like you only really, I don't know. You kind of get. He's like the boss of Joaquin Phoenix
He's a
somehow.
white man who has domination over a PTSD veteran. Like that doesn't scream cult leader. That's
Yes, it does because he's got. Well, you know, it implies it because he like has
We are
that little
giving
book.
this movie more
Yeah.
consideration than it is due.
Okay, look. All right, fine. You know what? We can't even agree on what the movie is about. That's how shitty this movie is. All right, that's all you need to know.
Well, there are.
But I will say that
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman were fantastic. The acting was top notch, masterclass, very
I don't know.
good.
All I remember
You
is
felt
Joaquin
like-
fucking Phoenix trying to jerk off on the beach at least twice.
He did not try. He was jerking off on the beach.
Very
I'm sorry.
successful, actually.
Yeah. So you felt like it was, aside from the whole jerking off on the beach part, I was going to leave that out, but you felt like it was,
How can you leave that out?
Well, don't forget the part. Hang on now. Don't forget the part where Amy Adams, and you forgot to mention her among the master actors that were in an Academy Award-winning actress who was in this film jerking off Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. You forgot that part.
Because I had blocked that from my mind.
Yeah.
You
I-
see.
She did. I'm trying to remember who she is, what she looks like. Yeah, that chick.
yeah.
Why did she do that? That was some weird shit, too. It was all weird. Like, you don't really know what's going on with any of that shit. You're like, why is this happening? Who is this guy? Why is he reading out of a book and telling this dude all his secrets?
Yes, and
You
so on.
don't know. And then the movie just sort of ends.
Right. So all of this being said, can you imagine how interested people are going to be to see this film now, based on our
God damn it.
inability to even
I'm not
describe it?
interested at all. I really don't want to see this.
Okay. Well,
Well,
that's
like
good.
you just if you sit through that movie, you're just gonna be confused at the end.
That is
Like, and
true.
not in a cool like, oh, my mind's blown. Like you'd be like, what the fuck did I just watch? What was the what was the plot? What was the conflict and resolution? Doesn't it end with him stranded on an island?
No, I think it ends with him on the same beach that he started on.
I don't know,
No,
dude.
it doesn't make sense. I don't remember that. What I remember is you guys hated it. I remember that. I remember that you chastised me for taking you to it. I do recall that. And I remember that this has turned out to be one of the most traumatic incidents of your childhood for reasons which I'm still not unclear of. I mean, you've got plenty more traumatic incidents in your childhood to focus back on, starting with, but not limited to, the fact that when you were approximately, you, Sarah, 12 and Nick, 7, I used to drop you off at the movie theater for a stretch of 5 hours at a time to babysit you during the summer, as you may recall.
Okay, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Sometimes it was more than 5
when did
hours.
we-
That wasn't traumatic. That was good deal. Like we just got
Yeah.
to see a bunch of. We was on
I
top
mean,
of
we
the
did
movie
have
game.
to, like,
And
dodge
second off-
around fucking movie employees.
Yeah, but that was a game.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's hide and seek.
It's like hide and seek. But
I
anyway,
think you got chastised from outside channels, not from us.
yeah. And dude, I'm getting like the kind of weird impression that you didn't hate that movie because I know you did. You hated that movie.
Let me just bring that back around.
You felt the same way we did. Like, what did I just watch?
Well,
What is it? What happened?
I was a little more willing to think it over, though. I mean, your reaction was immediate and visceral. I mean, and
We
it
were
has
young. That's what we do.
Okay, so now that you've had a chance to think it over, what do you think?
Later.
Were we right the first time? Right immediately?
Well, let me just say this about that. Yeah, it was a bad movie. Yeah, let's just get right down to it. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pete,
All right.
Pete has done the same thing with me and my mother, who might also be on this podcast eventually. Pete took us to go see Inside Out, in which me and my mother both were not at all big fans of.
What's
Well,
that movie?
In
What is that
fairness,
movie?
that's
Pixar
the
movie.
Pixar movie with the feelings and it's got, you know.
Yeah, just from just the way I saw the poster and how they drew the feelings, I was like, I can't see it.
Here's my
There's
Yeah, but hang on.
Okay.
Before Bradley, you break down into how evil I was to take you to that
Hysterics.
particular film. I mean, it was a Pixar movie. How bad could that possibly be? And oh, by the way, it was reviewed fabulously. People loved this movie. And in fairness, I really did
didn't think
not
it was
like
bad.
that movie. I didn't like it. It's like it simplified the whole emotional interior life of every human being into 4 feelings. It's
well,
like,
I mean,
right.
yes, people. Okay,
Right.
yes.
And it's just corny.
Well,
Come on, man. I'm a
kids'
little
movie.
red guy.
It's a
Like,
kids' movie.
there's plenty of
There's a lot of stereotyping.
dude. There's
yes.
plenty of kids movies that have shit for the adults. Lego Movie, great movie.
Oh my god, yeah. Lego Batman.
Lego Movie, great movie.
Oh, hang on. Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's a movie that I took you, Bradley, and Noah to at the Dollar Theater, and I thought was one of the best films I'd seen in years, actually.
It's so funny. Noah's cracking up like 3 minutes in.
Not just Noah, me too. Have you, Chuck?
Oh, I
either
mean,
of you
yeah,
two?
but he was loud.
Yeah,
Oh, well, yeah, but not you.
right.
We don't care about you.
Yeah. This is my show, old man.
Right. So the point here is that, first of all, before we get to the Batman Lego movie, let me just go back to Inside Out and Bradley's accusation that I dragged his mother and him to see this movie and that they were completely unwilling to go.
I didn't hear the word drag. I heard took. He took us,
Uh-huh.
Which
Actually,
which is pretty much essentially the same thing.
Yeah, we
He took us. He took us there.
yeah,
He
well,
took us. All right,
actually,
keep going. I'm sorry.
Elsie just
Let me rephrase.
Elsie just chimed in from outside the vocal recording booth, and she has informed me that I did indeed drag Bradley and her to that movie. So I stand corrected. I dragged them to it, but I didn't like it.
I can't remember.
I did not like it.
I can't remember if I consented to going or not, but that's not important.
Yeah.
What is it?
What didn't you like about it, Dad? Give me the break. Give me your breakdown.
Oh, I already have. And what I didn't like about it was its grotesque oversimplification of the human emotional interior life. That's what I thought problematic. I know that I have more than 4 feelings at any given moment, including right now. I'm feeling right now a combination of guilt, ecstasy, rage, irritation, frustration, and joy. You know, and that's just right here, right now.
And my
Boy.
beliefs on the movie are the same as Pete's with the simplification of emotion. But another thing that was very confusing to me and didn't really make sense is that when all of her emotions started like bugging out and just kind of like left, she just slipped into like a weird state of depression and just left San Francisco. Like, if you don't have any emotions, wouldn't you just like stay like still almost and just like not go
Yeah, well,
anywhere?
you're not gonna get the inspiration. Like, I'm gonna pack up all my shit. I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna liquidate my assets. I'm gonna move out of this fucking town.
Because
if you were
that's
out
what-
of emotions, if you were depressed, you're depressed. And you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit in my room and wallow in
Not do
filth
anything.
for about.
But doesn't that
12
also
hours.
fall under the category of of the sad? Like,
Yeah,
maybe that's
exactly.
why you go that route.
Aren't you a robot then? If you got no more emotions, all gone, they're all gone. I'm just going to intake all the nutrition my body requires, and then I will shut down.
Maybe you just sit there until your parents direct you where to go.
I
Go to
don't know.
school.
Yeah, I don't
She
know.
just turns into a vegetable, basically. Just doesn't move, doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that,
Vegetal.
yeah, that would be
Right.
that would be more realistic.
That's
More
called a coma.
right. Well, that
Yeah,
does
that's
remind
right.
me. This is totally off topic, but I will share it. It does remind me of my favorite Jody, and a Jody is a marching song, right? And there's a marching song that the Army has, and it goes like this: "My gal's a vegetable. She lives in a hospital, and I do
I remember this.
most anything to keep her alive." Anyway, then it goes on and talks about she has no hands and feet, just little clumps of meat. And
Yeah.
He's got
I
no
remember-
hands and feet.
when you
Just
sung
little
that.
clumps of meat.
yes, and
That's
so
right.
on. Yeah, so I don't. Anyway, I'm sorry I brought that
Right.
up.
That was one of your favorite lullabies to sing us as
Well,
children.
also these kids moving on this fucking adventure walk that they are hating.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But this
Let's
is really.
motivate
it's good
them.
for morale.
I don't know why I'm bringing
It
up
wasn't
this.
at the time, but now it is.
Right. Wasn't at the time, now it is. Good. Well, I'm glad because I'm about done with these trips down memory lane. All of this started, as we might recall, with Brad's excellent review of The Nun. Well done, Bradley.
Thank you. A lot of hate went into that.
Clearly.
All right. So, what's the next topic?
Well, so just I don't think we've really closed out the Florence thing. Okay, so thoughts.
What do you mean we haven't closed it out? It's windy. It's a hurricane. It's horrible.
It's unfortunate. Hey, I do have a question though.
Yeah.
So you know how like people don't leave, but then like maybe it wasn't this hurricane. Maybe it was the last one.
It was the last one where they were like, yeah, you got to write your name.
Well, yeah. So they wait for somebody to come get them or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, is there a search pattern to that? Is there do they canvass the neighborhoods? How do people know where to go pick up these people who are abandoned? Well, not even abandoned, but you know.
So to answer your question, believe it or not, I have some insight into this because I used to work at a place that coordinates the national federal
disaster
response.
relief.
Yeah, I used to work at a place where that coordinates all the inland rescues of the United States that are done by Title X military forces, right? And so I used to work there. But that doesn't actually give me actual insight into how they figured out. But they figured out through a variety of means, right? People still have, a lot of times their phone still works, so they'll call in. A lot of times they'll like sit on their roofs and spell out help. Other times, they'll just be flying around looking for folks. There's a specific...
those last two pieces go together then.
They do. Yes, they do. But I'm not an expert on search and rescue. You'd really want to call the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center to get some real insight, but don't do it now because they're pretty busy.
Right. What with the whole hurricane in the Carolinas.
And whatnot.
Yeah, they're tied up right now, rescuing folks. But at a later time, you could call the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center, and they could tell you exactly what it is that goes into a search grid and a search vector and how they get those inputs and then what they do with them and so on.
Maybe I'll look it up.
Maybe if I care.
Yeah.
One day.
I was curious.
Right.
But I didn't get the answer right away. So maybe if I feel like it later, I'll look it up.
That makes sense. Yeah. So to satisfy your curiosity, because what I just said was not obviously, it was just a bunch of word salad. It really didn't scratch the itch. Is that true?
Yeah.
You gave me a general idea. I'm not dying to go look right now. I might be satisfied with that. I don't know.
I gave you enough to fish with. That's the point.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And you can do that fishing at a later time. All right. So I consider Florence closed out. Thoughts and prayers, all that jazz. Be careful out there. Don't drown. Fair?
It's bad juju.
It is. Bad deal. Don't loot. That's the other thing I would say. Don't loot. That's just...
yeah.
Don't loot it. Get out if you can.
Yeah.
I saw on Reddit, there's been 5 arrests due to people looting a Dollar General after Florence.
Oh my fucking God. You're going to loot a Dollar General?
Well,
you serious?
What if
That's
you
what all the comments
need it, though? What if you need supplies?
I'm saying there's better places to get supplies than a Dollar General. If you're going to loot somewhere, I'm going to go loot a Dick's or a Sam's Club. If I'm looting, I'm looting. You feel me?
Yes.
I'm not going to go to a Dollar General.
Maybe their thought process was, it's just a Dollar General.
That's entirely possible.
I guess.
No, I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
So that when we get caught, we can't fucking steal more than $1,000 worth of stuff.
Exactly.
No, that's not it at all. I'll tell you what it is.
I really doubt that's the thought process they had.
Here's the thought.
I bet what it was is that the Dollar General was right there.
Yeah.
And they needed food. And they needed water or some shit. And it was right there.
That's
we can assume and make false claims all we want. That makes it fun.
No,
as long as we admit that they're false.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true what you just said, Nick, which is you said, hey, it was proximity that caused it to happen. And I'm going to tell you right now that looters go to Dollar General for the same reason that I go to Dollar General. It's right there. It's convenient. I can pull right in and loot to my heart's content and then leave. It's handy. That's all it is. It's a handiness factor.
But what if they left money on the counter?
Well, then it's not looting, is it?
They got swept away by the water.
Yeah, then it ain't looting.
I guess then you would have to prove that.
What if they left money on the counter? Well, by definition, they're not looters if they're making up a careful tally of their purchases and then leaving it with a note and contact information. Then they're not looters. Then they're just citizens who are trying to, survive. Two different things, right? I think.
In a hurricane, in like a natural disaster scenario, I feel like looting is bit more
Acceptable?
permissible. Yeah. When we're talking about just some riots and people just busting fucking glass out and taking TVs.
I guess that's my point. Is like, if you
What did you catch them with? Did you catch them with a bunch of food and water? Then
Right.
all right. Well, then we'll let you hook since it's a fucking natural disaster and all that.
If you do not have the means to leave, and you are stuck long enough that that you've run out of provisions, are you really
And there
going?
ain't nobody in the store, but
Right.
there's
Really
a store
going
full of
to
food in it.
penalize those people for not having the means to leave and not having the means to continue to survive.
The answer, yes.
It's America.
The reason, privatized prison.
Hail corporate.
Wow. Okay, that's a very millennial answer you two gave right there. But what I will tell you is that, I mean,
For millennials, I don't know what to tell you.
They kind of suit the prerequisites.
Yeah.
Just,
So
working with the cards we were dealt
right. But here's
by the previous
here's-
generation.
right. I thought we weren't going to blame me in this podcast. I thought
No,
earlier-
not you, just your people.
Oh, I got it. Just my
Just-
people.
just
Not you
people.
specifically. You, Peter Shinn, did not ruin the economy and the housing market and then hand it to us and tell us it's our
That
fault.
wasn't even his generation. That was grandma's generation.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You're off the hook, man.
All right. Good deal.
Right now.
No, so here's the thing about the looting, though, just to circle back to the don't loot situation, right? By definition, if they left money and a handwritten note about, hey, then it's not looting. But I'll tell you another thing.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it's
Rummaging?
borrowing. It's taking. It's
capitalism.
an IOU.
I guess it's purchasing.
It's
If you
purchasing.
leave money.
If
Yeah.
you leave, if
But
you've
what if
done
you
it,
don't have cash?
Then you write down your credit card. No, you can't do that. You just fucking write down. Be like, hey, give me a call when
When people return to this establishment,
yeah,
call me and
Yeah.
then I'll pay for
I'll
my
pay
shit.
for the goods.
at that time and not sooner. Makes sense.
Well, but how many people have the forethought to do that shit? No,
Well,
well,
yeah, when there's
apparently not 5 of them.
When there's 105 miles gusting outside with rain sideways, you might not have a pen and paper on you when you go looting.
well, then you're already not very prepared. We've established this.
Don't forget the waterproof paper and the wax pen.
Well, if you're at a Dollar General, they're bound to have some writing materials.
That's a good point.
But it'll be washed out, wouldn't it?
Well,
Well, maybe with that attitude.
hang on. I will just say this. I'll just
You
say
know
this.
what? You're
Fucking
right.
receipt paper. Rip it out of the register.
I'll just say this. And we'll wrap up the looting conversation with this observation, which is that you've mentioned, hey, they're going to Dollar General. If they're getting food and water, then it's not really looting, it's just survival. What else are you gonna get of value at a Dollar General?
That's what I'm saying,
like-
dude. That was my original point when I was talking about if you're gonna loot somewhere. Well, why don't you go loot at Sam's Club or Dick's?
if you're
Or
looting,
H.H. Gregg.
not surviving. If you're looting, not surviving.
For the express
What,
purpose of
uh,
looting, not surviving.
Yeah. So what did they charge these 5 people with?
Do they charge them at all?
Burglary charge, breaking and entering.
So they
Yeah.
did. So they are getting charges. They're going to court for this.
Yeah, they were the charges were not dropped for any sort of reason. They are going.
Did it
to
say
court.
what? Did it actually say what they had? What they caught them with? Or they just caught them in the act?
I think it was more of in the act type of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed to find them, but because it's a hurricane.
So
Who's
who's
snitched?
pressing?
That's
So
the
Dollar
thing.
General is pressing the charges then?
That would make the most sense. Yeah.
Dollar General's not going to let this one go? They're not going to let it go?
We
Like,
don't.
just give them
I mean,
one pass for, the whole natural
I'm
disaster
being-
thing?
If I'm being honest, it's $1, so they're kind of already robbing them. That's
Yeah.
my.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? I don't get that.
I mean, it's so cheap that really, why be upset? Like, they probably lost $10 worth of stuff because they probably didn't get a lot. Probably just got food and water.
How much could you get? If you could you grab 100 things? That's $100 worth of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, 5 of them. 20 things a piece. I think that's reasonable.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that could work.
5 of them,
5
20 things a piece, is $100. Hey, well, how about we just give you your $100 worth?
Well,
No?
that's why you
Okay.
that's why I get back to the, leaving some cash and a note. You could do that at Dollar General. Because presumably
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh,
I heard Dean is always whatever. Yeah, well, yeah. You guys keep going. We got some other stuff here lined up.
Yeah.
Stuff
So we're gonna tell you what. We're gonna
Yeah,
probably
they're
edit
all
out some of
that
the looting conversation. We've kind of beaten the horse to death on
Yeah.
the looting.
on that.
Yeah. So
We're still hitting it.
right, we still are. So next topic. It's time for the next topic, and the next topic is the conviction and plea deal of Paul Manafort, former campaign director for President Trump, to a number of federal crimes to which he's now admitted, and an agreement to cooperate with the special counsel's investigation going forward.
Oh,
Doesn't-
wow.
doesn't,
Shocking. Wow. Now everything's down. Now they're. Who?
Doesn't look good for, Trump's camp.
Well, I mean, dude.
But I mean, that doesn't
This
necessarily mean anything for him. But
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's just like, this shit isn't surprising. You know what I mean? Everybody knows they're up to
Okay.
some stuff. And now, like, it's,
so there was, everybody's always not always, but in the liberal side of things, which tends to be where I percolate.
Right.
Everybody's pissed that nobody's called for an impeachment of Trump or whatever, or hasn't gained any traction. But like Watergate took 2 years to investigate. Like nothing's instant.
Nothing is instant.
well, yeah. Yeah.
and you
And
have to.
furthermore,
Yes.
I think Trump would resign before somebody tried to impeach him.
Yeah. I think he would too. It's a matter of pride. It's all,
Well,
Has anyone
but with
actually
his
been in?
pride-
Or did they always resign? Was Clinton
No, I
impeached?
think
Yes.
Or did he resign
Resign.
before?
Well, I'm
Dad,
glad
no.
you've come to the right
Wasn't
place. I can answer these questions. So
Yeah.
there has never been a successful trial of the president and removal from office. Now, impeachment is a process that the House of Representatives does to refer a president to trial by the Senate. There have only been in the Republic's history 2 such trials. One was a trial
Johnson.
of the guy that succeeded President Lincoln after Lincoln was killed, a guy named Andrew Johnson. And Johnson avoided conviction in the Senate by a single vote, but he did avoid conviction. So he was impeached, but he was not convicted and remained in office till the end of his term. The same is also true of President Bill Clinton. He was successfully impeached by the House of Representatives, but was not successfully removed in his trial by the Senate. So that happened. That's happened twice in the Republic. Nixon, in contrast, once he heard that there were enough votes in the House of Representatives to impeach him, decided to resign rather than go through all of that jive.
Nonsense.
Yes. Now, there is an argument to be made, and I think it's a good one, that President Clinton should have resigned rather than allow the process to go all the way through the House of Representatives and to the Senate because of 2 things. One, what he did was manifestly wrong. And 2, the fact that he managed to stay in office greatly made worse or exacerbated the partisan tensions that we're still dealing with today. Thoughts?
Yep.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. He should. You're right. He should have resigned before it got to that point. But I'm sure he thought that he was too slick for all that, for it to get to the point where it was really a problem.
The partisan tension is really something that even Murphy and I were talking about earlier today. There is a gentleman running for governor here in Nebraska who was a Republican and then is now a Democrat, but he's a very conservative Democrat. So we're thinking, Nebraska hasn't had Democratic governor since 1996.
Right. Gentle Ben Nelson,
so-
as I recall, right?
What's that?
Gentle Ben Nelson, as I recall.
I do believe that is correct. Yes. So if a Democrat is to win in this very red state, it's going to have to be a right-leaning blue. So the party tension thing is something that absolutely impacts everything we do. Everything is so divided, and we might not like the central road politicians or whatever, because we're, as a generation, we're galvanizing for change, blah, 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 blah. But
I love that word, galvanizing.
thanks.
I fucking love that word. It's like, I don't know. Keep going.
Well, okay. I don't know where exactly I'm going with this, but it's just like Obama's pick for the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
Was a pretty central dude. Like he wasn't too left leaning. He wasn't too right leaning. He was pretty neutral.
We're talking
on the
about
scale, and because he was neutral,
Merrick Garland.
and yes, and because he was neutral, and because he was proposed by Obama, he didn't get the pick. Congress just sat on it.
Well,
So
the Senate in particular, yeah.
now we have a very right-wing pick who will probably get elected for life.
Well,
And
he'll
the
be
whole-
confirmed, yes, most likely.
And the whole just being we need more central politicians is what we need.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback off that by saying that the whole divisive part of the politics that we experience in the climate of today's social atmosphere is I feel like it's meant to divide people. Like Republican and Democrat, like you have to be one or you have to be the other. You have to follow all those values or the other. It's Coke and Pepsi, right? And the same thing between our last two presidential candidates. Like one is, you may feel one way about one, but there's plenty of ways to feel about the other. I don't want to get into all that, but I'm just saying, like, the two different choices that we have are just two different sides of the same coin. Like, it's not, there's these kind of, and people have hatred, real actual hatred towards people just because of their political leaning. Like, if conservatives hate liberals and liberals hate conservatives just because they call themselves that. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. That's kind of like a made up like way to keep people divided. Yeah. Keep people not united.
Well,
I feel like that's the same thing with a lot of the race issues going on right now. Like racism isn't the real problem right now. It's classism. But I feel like a lot of race, well, that's because like if you keep people thinking that people need to be separated into little tribes, you know what I mean? Your tribe's not the same as mine. Fuck, I don't like you. You're not the same as me. But the rich people, the 1% don't care who the dude picking their apples is. You know what I mean? They don't care. They just it's poor people. That's
absolutely true.
It's rich people and poor people.
The only way change happens, and I say this all the time, the only way change happens is from the bottom. So young people don't like to vote in politics, right? I feel like
if you don't vote, you lose your right to bitch.
Yes, but the most important place where you need to vote is your local politics.
Well, that's where it makes a difference.
Exactly.
It's the only place it makes a difference.
Well, but okay, so we're a red state, right? But we are in a blue district.
Yeah.
So if you want the blue to spread out, you got to start with your local.
Yeah, you got to elect. Yeah, the right.
So one of the, I'm circling back around to Nebraska politics because it's like the only thing I know about. One of the legislative candidates, I guess, is a very left woman. And
what's her name?
Eastman.
Have you seen the lady, my neighbor that's got in her yard? Who is that? Mark Hunt?
No, Mark Hunt is an MMA fighter.
Yeah. Oh.
So not him.
He's not. I assure you, he's not the only man. Megan Hunt. That's who it is. That's it.
Megan Hunt.
I was gonna say he's definitely not the only dude with the last name Hunt.
No. And the first name Mike.
Oh, yeah. No, not Mike. Mark.
Not Mike.
No.
I saw that as we were coming down. I was like, who the hell is Megan Hunt? Because I have a Kara Eastman.
Dude, let me just say that my neighbor, that lady, her job that she does for a living is stands in her living room and watches her front yard.
What the fuck?
Like I've lived here for 3 years, 2 years.
Grow?
Dude, like when I pull up in my car, okay, I live here. She knows that I live here. I pull up in my car. If I don't get outside of my car and walk into my house within 5 minutes of pulling up, she's on the front lawn in her bathrobe with her hands on her hips, just staring at me like I'm up to some shady shit. Hey, let me just get my McDonald's in one hand and walk. Like, this is my driveway. You know that, right? Like,
I live here.
Oh my God.
Don't say nothing.
But
so anyway, she wants Megan Hunt to be whoever. So I don't.
So you don't want to vote for her?
I don't want to vote for her. I don't promote that kind of behavior.
You're going to vote for Eastman.
Yeah, okay.
So Eastman.
See what's happening right now is a good example of bad political involvement. See, my sister's just telling me who I'm gonna vote for.
Right.
Well, actually, no.
That
lady
though.
that does every time. That's what happened. I just assume that my sister knows what's
Who's
going
done the
on,
research.
and just go with that. But I don't want to be that lady who stands. Or that man, whatever. Anyone can do it. I don't want to just stand. I'm like, what do you do for money? I'm like,
Maybe she's retired, yo.
no, she's not old enough. She does watch some kids every once in a while.
Oh, there you go.
That's kind of weird.
She
Maybe.
does drugs and
I don't think she does drugs. I don't think so, man. I think she's like,
I think she's
that's
just
why she's so
fucking weird.
angry. She's just stone cold sober.
Okay.
Stone cold.
And
Stonewall
deals with kids.
Jackson. Yeah, I'm babysits kids.
Okay.
right.
Let's circle back around.
Yeah, whatever we just did.
Just to put a
Whatever we
bow
were
on
talking
this
about.
conversation, I'm going to put a bow on this conversation. And the bow on this conversation is that you have some strong political beliefs. You believe that the nation is too divided, that we need to look for centrist leaders. That's what I've heard. And you agree that Clinton should have resigned.
Yes. I mean, I would love a left-leaning president, but I think that this whole pendulum that we have going on isn't sustainable. So I think
It's meant to keep people divided, dude. It's meant to keep you off the issues. And the issues are not like, like there's a lot of left and right issues and race issues. But what the real issue is, hey, how come people who are rich pay less in taxes than we do? You know what I mean? Like they pay a smaller percent because it's like they pay more monetary. I'm just saying, like,
it's the only issue.
It's not the only issue, but like I'm just saying, the allocation of resources and wealth right now is a bigger issue
That is a big
than
issue.
what
And I do think that the reallocation of wealth could help other problem
Dude, we
areas.
make enough food in the world right now for 10 billion people.
Well, and we could
you
also
know that?
solve the entire world energy crisis by like 5 square miles in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah,
But that's not the point.
Yeah. Why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we focused on than all this other
Here's
shit?
the thing, is that scientists are talking about that, but scientists aren't in Congress. And the general layman does not understand that shit, so it doesn't get the traction it deserves.
And that's
We need
another
more scientists
that's
in
another
Congress.
problem is education. People aren't they want poor uneducated people. That's how rich and powerful people stay rich and powerful.
Can I just cut in?
Yeah.
Fuck Betsy DeVos.
Whoa. That's a little intense there.
I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, first of all, I personally don't find
wait.
What?
Is there different districts per town?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So maybe you will be voting for Megan Hunt.
All right.
There are 2 Democrats. No matter what.
All right. So I hear some
Get away from us.
some background
all right,
discussion.
all right.
Yeah, some back chatter.
We were getting the skinny on Megan Hunt.
Let me just clear Megan Hunt's name right now. If anyone is ever listening, like, oh, fuck Megan Hunt. She's actually good girl. She's a Democrat, okay? My neighbor, even though she's crazy, watches me all the time. She's got a good head on her shoulders when it comes to
Politically. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. You're in a poor neighborhood. So
yeah.
it's
That's
gonna be
probably
blue.
why she watches. People been fucking with her shit
Yeah.
for 20 years.
Yeah, that's actually
Look at
probably.
that.
But I live here.
Solved the mystery.
But I live here, okay? You know my car. You know it's me. Stop putting your hands on your hips and standing in your front yard like I'm up to something nefarious, okay?
Maybe
It's
I
like
think
the
there's
master all over
unresolved
again.
internal issues is what I'm hearing from you.
All right, whatever.
There's some
It's like the nun.
going on.
Yeah,
Right.
Brad's got a point. This does have overtones of the nun situation. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it might have. This
Do you-
might be
do you
Lou. She's not a nun,
Bringing it
though.
back.
She
You
looks
don't know
nothing
that.
like a nun. I don't know. She could be a nun. She has like the stern demeanor of a nun.
I don't know. Murphy's Aunt Kathleen was a nun, and I couldn't tell if I didn't know.
Well, hang on.
That's
I don't even know who
one of the good
Kathleen
ones.
is, so we're really going far afield here. But here's what I'll say.
Yeah, we are.
What I'll say is, just to wrap this all up, is that it is wise if you have any interest in how your life is being led and what decisions are being made on your behalf, you should probably participate in the political process. Fair enough?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Glad we wrapped that up. Finally, I'm going to talk a little Nebraska
Go.
Husker football because you both are in Omaha. The Corn Shuckers are now 0-2.
I don't want to really talk about it.
I can. What's the word here? I can contribute nothing to this conversation.
There's
so-
nothing to talk about, dude. Fuck Troy. I mean, Scott Frost is kind of dicking us around right now because Troy is
It
college.
sure sounds like you do have something to say.
Well,
He doesn't want it built up anger.
dude, yeah, just don't get me fucking started.
Your toes
okay?
are curling. Right
Yeah.
now. That's how you.
Well, dude, I'm just saying, like, we should not have lost to Troy. Like, and with Scott Frost is supposed to be the great, this
Harbinger
Messiah.
of change.
Yeah, he's the Messiah from Miami who turned that school from an 0-13 school to a 13-0 school. Okay, now he's coming to us, and he's from Nebraska, played quarterback for Nebraska. Oh, he's going to turn us around. If he could do it for Miami, why couldn't he do it for his home state? That's what everyone's thinking, right? And now look what's happening.
Yeah, so Noel.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. Like, that's what got me mad about it.
Okay.
Well,
it's only 2 games. Fine,
In fairness.
Fairness.
But it was against Colorado and Troy.
You know on Hercules when Hades gets all pissed and he's like, it's okay, all right, I'm cool. That's you right now.
You're not cool. You're not.
Well, that's because if anybody who was actually from Nebraska ever bothered to listen to this shit and they heard me say all this, their toes would be curling too. They don't even want to hear me say it. They don't even want to hear me say it because they've already heard. That's what they thought already. Like,
it is true. Although,
so what were you going to say, Dad?
Well, I was just
What were you going to open with?
I was just going to point out first of all that Scott Frost actually did not come from Miami; he came from Central Florida. So there is that. Just a fact check type situation. And then the other thing I would say is
wait, it was Central Florida.
Yeah,
that he did that with.
Yeah, the Golden Knights of Central Florida.
I'm looking stupid.
Well, you're looking uninformed. That's all.
Okay.
That's a nice way of saying stupid.
It was very nice. And then, so the second thing I was going to say, other than that, which I wasn't going to say until, you went on your diatribe, your rant, if you will.
Wow, you got a book coming out today, huh? You're on fire, buddy. Wow.
Wow. A lot of sensitivity here about the corn shuckers. But what I'll say is this.
Oh boy.
It's going to take some time for Scott Frost to recruit the kinds of players that are going to make a difference. And finally,
you know what?
I did hear.
You're right, because I'm being irrational about this. Because I already said that before the season even started.
You gotta have the talent.
Yeah, so you gotta have the talent. So I'm just already being irrational about it.
You're so angry.
Right.
You have so much angst.
I didn't know you felt this strongly about football.
It's just I don't. Did you know this is not funny either, but this is a real statistic. Domestic violence in Nebraska goes up 50% when they lose a game.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Like the calls for domestic abuse go up 50% every time Nebraska loses a game.
Fucking rednecks.
Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. That's unacceptable.
Wow.
It's insane. But I bet that's not the I bet Nebraska's not the only fucking state who has.
Yeah, well.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean,
people take their sporting seriously.
Well, they sure do.
Yeah, they do.
Well, there was a third thing I was going to say on this topic, but I think it's best probably just to leave it alone.
Nick goes on another tangent.
No, I'll listen. Let's
This is that snake bracelet I got last night. Like,
then this is
you're throwing it into Scott Frost's eyeball.
What?
Well, I don't want to do that. That's a little much. Okay, Scott Frost does not need a spear in his eyeball. Okay, no, I'm not saying that.
All right, I'm editing all that out. The third thing I'm going to say about Nebraska football, and this is a positive note, they are undefeated in conference play at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
He's technically right, which means
it means that
best kind of right.
Nebraska has not played anybody in the Big Ten yet. They've only played people that
these games don't matter.
Well, no, they matter. They matter, but they don't matter to the Big Ten.
Yeah, as in they should.
It's just like a semantic point. Like, oh, they haven't.
Like that.
No one in the Big Ten can take them. They haven't lost yet.
What the fuck?
Because they haven't played them yet.
Well, I don't know either.
The Big Ten is a conference. It's a football conference like the Southeastern Conference or the Big 12. The Big Ten, ironically, is composed of 12 teams, of which Nebraska is one. Nebraska used to be, when they were dominant, they were part of the Big 8 and then the Big 12. And now they're part of the Big Ten, which is a totally separate conference that includes such teams as Michigan, Ohio, Michigan State, powerhouse conferences, basically. It's a powerhouse.
So I can tell that you're still confused, Sarah. So, like, what he means when he says a conference, like
it's like a tournament.
No, it's like schools in a certain region or in a certain conference. So schools in Southeast America, schools in Southeast America are in the SEC.
So it's like a league.
Yes, it's like exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
If you compare it to the NFL, it's like the American Football Conference and the National Football Conference, the AFC and the NFC. It's a rough comparison.
Okay.
Different leagues.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am not one with college football. I just say national.
All right. Well, yeah, you're
Well, you got one up on me.
But
buddy.
anyway, so yeah, good point, Dad. They're undefeated in the Big Ten.
The only sports I watch is when people hit each other in the face. So
yeah, that's true.
That's
You are a big
good sport
MMA
to watch.
fan.
That's an easy one, right?
Yeah,
You know, in MMA, you don't got to know no. All you got to do is just watch two dudes beat each other's asses until one of them can't
Sometimes.
fight no more, or almost break another one's limb. We call that a submission hold when you almost or choke them out.
last week was good.
I
Last
didn't
week,
see him.
what?
Where
no,
the fuck were we? Oh yeah, you weren't there. Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Sarah,
So anyway,
get a little closer to the mic.
uh,
Sarah, get a little closer to the mic and give me your MMA breakdown.
what
It's good.
What
it
do
was
you?
good.
What part of MMA do you down?
How about not stoppage from Herb Dean?
Yeah, Herb Dean. He's they call him Herb.
I do like Herbie. I do, but that was a fucked up.
They
fight.
call him Herb. If he dies, he dies. Dean.
That's what I was going to show you earlier. Was that? Yeah, yeah.
Mario Yamasaki
It
is
was
the
a
ref.
quote from Yamasaki, and he was like, "I was a little late there, Dean." Like,
So I don't know
so
what
all
you're
right,
referencing.
let's clear the air. Is Mario Yamasaki and Herb Dean are referees in
Yes.
UFC,
Okay,
and they're notorious for not stopping fights when they should be stopped.
and fights are stopped when fighters are no longer able to defend themselves.
Yeah, when a fighter
or
is
are
not.
supposed to be stopped when they are no longer able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
But obviously,
So like if
yeah,
a fighter gets clocked and he hits the ground and he's still got his arms up, but the dude just got him in full mount and is ground and pounding him for a good 15 seconds straight, the ref's gonna stop this. Supposed to stop that fight.
Any sane ref is.
Which is when we went to UFC in Lincoln, and we saw this guy. He got put in an arm bar, and
Dude, I cannot believe.
I can't believe the ref didn't stop that fight.
Yeah.
But the dude popped out and won the fight.
Yeah.
So I'm the dude was in an arm bar. Okay, so his arm,
Was
his
above
elbow
his head,
was
above his
bending.
head.
Yeah, it was above his head. It was bending.
like it was gonna pop out of his socket.
Yeah, you bring your elbow in one way, doesn't bend. Yeah, it was bending that way. And it was like popping out of his socket. I could see it bending. And I was just like, oh my God, he's not tapping. When your arm is like that, you're supposed to tap. So they stopped the fight. Everyone knows this, all right? So he wasn't tapping. And the ref was not stopping the fight. And it was starting to pop out of its socket. And I was like, it's at this point where the ref is supposed to be like, okay, like I got to stop. I'm not going to let this dude break your arm. But he didn't. And then, so I had to look away. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and watch this dude break his arm. But then right as I'm looking away,
He twists out. He healed out of it.
Well, it's because it did pop out. He said that at the
Did he?
end.
Did he
Yeah,
really?
he's like, yeah, it popped out. I just popped it back in.
What the fuck?
So it popped
I
out of its
missed that.
socket, and he was able to slip out of the armbar and beat that dude's ass and win.
Gross.
Yeah.
But then fucking last week, you missed these fights, but there was a ref who's normally pretty good. And who was the fighter? They kept
Tyrone Woodley.
Tyrone Woodley.
Tyron
that's
Woodley
right.
versus Darren. That's who it was.
They kept
For
taking
the
him off the
championship.
fence. Like so Tyrone Woodley was doing his thing, was actively trying to take down Till, and the ref kept separating them. I'm like, this is part of
He
fighting.
still won, though.
He
Won
did.
by submission in the second round, didn't he?
He absolutely won that title because that ref was totally
He had
on
the
the
title.
challenger.
He defended that title.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that he
Yeah.
defended his belt because the ref was totally on the challenger side, which is pretty unusual. Just in terms of, but there was a clear bias there, which was
Really?
bizarre.
I didn't see it. I just looked up the result.
because the ref was shit. But we had watched earlier fights with the same ref, and he did a good job. Like I think he stopped something that.
Well,
needed
think
to be
about this
stopped,
for
but-
a second, okay? And this is the same with a ref in any sport. Say a ref doesn't tell nobody he's reffing the game for the Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland Cavaliers. and he bets on this fucking game in Vegas.
That's what I was thinking.
I could make the odds are a lot that the Warriors are gonna win.
Can't you lose your license if you get caught doing that shit?
You go to jail. You go to prison if you get. Actually, an NBA coach or not a coach, an NBA ref did get caught doing this. And then when he was in prison, they interviewed him, and you know what the percentage he said was that refs were doing that? 100. He said all of them. He said everyone is doing that. They all have vested interest.
So this is
okay. Yeah. But anyway, so the point is, the reason that this ref for this fight may have done this is because he could have been mobbed up.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, I mean, I think that's a pretty, big accusation to throw out there against this particular ref.
I don't know.
It's not. I'm not accusing him. I'm just saying that. Okay, anything's possible. That dude could be a lizard. He could be a lizard with a human mask on.
That seems unlikely. It does. But I agree. It's within the realm of possibility
ridiculous.
in any given universe.
He did that a couple times.
Any given multiverse. So just to kind of tie up the MMA conversation, the bottom line is that, there's an element of judgment in when to stop these fights or if to stop these fights.
Right.
And
dude, when someone when they can't defend, you can clearly tell when someone's able to defend themselves anymore.
In last night's match, for example, the guy who was getting wailed on, let's just say, at one point had rolled over onto his belly and was covering the back of his head with his hands, and that was all he was doing to defend. And they
that's when you're done. That's when you're not.
And they still let it go to the end of the round.
When you're laying on your stomach with your hands on your head, praying for it to end, you're not defending yourself.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that's like the position you assume when you're being arrested. Like,
yeah.
you're not doing anything. You've stopped.
You've submitted.
Right.
Now, I'm pretty sure Bradley agrees with me on this, which is that's when some of these folks are most dangerous, when they're on their belly with their hands behind their head. Am I right, Bradley?
Yeah. That
snake.
That's
what they, yeah.
That's when excessive force is totally necessary.
Right.
Necessary, yeah. Mandated.
Right. Well, on that note, perhaps we should wrap up the show with that kind of shout out to excessive use of police force.
Oh, wait. We're wrapping it up? Are we done here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, before we wrap it up, just one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to say, when is this Khabib Nurmagomedov fight? October 6th. That's the big G's.
That's McGregor.
Woo.
And
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Not see it.
Yeah, we'll be on a cruise at the time. Are they not showing that on the cruise?
We don't know yet.
We're gonna see if they have that on the cruise. They better have her. I swear to God, I'm gonna not.
Ryan!
Yeah, I'm gonna sit on that cruise and. But anyway,
you're gonna do what?
Conor McGregor is gonna fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. Conor McGregor's only experienced one loss in the octagon to Nate Diaz, who is a beast also. But anyway, as everyone knows, Conor McGregor had 2 belts and he just refused to defend one of them. So they stripped him of that belt. Did they strip him of both his belts? Yep, both them belts.
I think it was just,
Khabib has it? Okay, so Conor is trying to take the belt from Khabib, and Conor McGregor is a huge dick, okay? That's his thing.
But he's a really good
fighter. Well, like I said, he's undefeated. He had 2 belts, and he's only been defeated once in the octagon, all right?
And then he won that rematch.
And then I get that Conor McGregor's not like that because he's like, I don't think he's really like that. He's trying to sell his fights is what he's doing. It's all showmanship. I get it, but he's still a dick about it. Like some people don't need to do that. They can just fight good. Like
I really like respectful fighters, like local Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's number 9, ranks 9 in the UFC now.
Well, oh shit, really?
Who's he fighting? Is
Whoever's number 2.
Alexander Gustafsson?
I think so, maybe.
Alexander Gustafsson, dude, I don't think he can handle Alexander Gustafsson.
Well, I didn't fight though, and he did.
Yeah, but Alexander Gustafsson. No, he's
anyway. This is not the point.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah,
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Whole other fucking podcast about that. Point is, Khabib Nurmagomedov's going to fight Conor McGregor. I think Khabib Nurmagomedov's going to beat his ass.
If McGregor hits the ground,
you know why? It's a very simple reason. Okay, Conor McGregor is from Ireland, and Khabib Nurmagomedov is from Dagestan. All right, in Ireland they fight for fun. Okay, but in Dagestan you fight for your life every day. Like that's what they do.
Okay.
Daguerrean?
If they stay up, like McGregor would knock Khabib Nurmagomedov down to the mat for sure, but he's not going to follow him. He's not going to follow him to the ground. Yeah, like if it goes to the ground game, then Nurmagomedov has the obvious knows that. Like he's going to try and do that.
And not all of this is moot because we're going to be on a boat
Yeah, we're
in the
not
middle
even
of the
gonna see it.
ocean and
We're not
not be
even
able to until after. So
I just want.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Couple of quick
So there we
points. Couple of quick points. First of all, I'm very impressed with the repeated correct pronunciation of Nurmagomedov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Dagestan comes and puts some respect on his name. All
I
right?
didn't even know that was a country.
It's
not.
pretty much Russia.
Yeah, it's pretty much Russia. So
Pretty
it's
much.
Khabib.
I think it might be a city in Russia. I don't fucking
Yesterday's
know.
fights were in Russia.
I don't know. It's Khabib Nurmagomedov. Is that
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov? Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, there you go.
Khabib
Once you
Nurmagomedov.
once you get it right,
Nurmagomedov.
the first bike, it just rolls off your tongue.
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
Khabib.
It doesn't sound real.
Khabib though, not Habib.
Nurmagomedov.
Yeah,
Khabib.
it does sound face. No, it's Khabib.
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 B-I-B.
Khabib
Most people will just refer to
Nurmagomedov.
him
Everyone
as
knows
Khabib.
him.
Yeah.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Most people don't say his last name, the
Yeah.
whole fucking last name. I shouldn't have
just
been
say-
doing that.
yeah.
It is a mouthful. They just say Khabib.
Everybody knows who Khabib is in this weight class.
So it's McGregor versus Khabib. It's the bout to knock the other guy out. The Thrilla in vanilla. It's happening coming up soon on October 6th. You will be on a cruise. Do you know where you're going yet on this cruise?
I mean, I know, but I would like to hear Nick's answer.
No. I
All right, short and sweet.
Yeah, okay.
Short and sweet, we're going to 2 stops in Mexico, a stop in Belize, and Honduras.
Okay.
So,
So-
where monkeys are.
So let's just plan for next week's pod for you to give us the full preview on what you're going to do on this cruise, because I hear it's going to be awesome.
So I got to figure out what I'm doing on this cruise between now and then. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
we can make all of our listeners jealous of your
don't even know if they
Sweet,
want to hear
sweet
that
digs.
shit. Like, does anyone want to hear, like, hey guys, well, you're
Let
at
me
work
just
this
tell you
Monday
about
morning.
this.
I'm living large on this boat, brother.
It's aspirational. It's
It's humble
aspirational.
bragging, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would do like a Randy Savage impersonation while you're
Speaking
giving the
of
rundown of
Randy
the
Savage,
Yeah, what about Randy
I mean, not
Macho Man?
really, but when
Yeah.
is Bruce Buffer going to retire?
I don't know. The sooner
Isn't
the
he like
better, though,
60
because
something?
I don't know. I want to take over. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I was just going to say.
You
Is
wanna-
that your
gonna
summary
take over?
of fight was good, and that you should apply for Bruce Buffer's job when Bruce Buffer retires.
Yeah,
You
know,
should get on that now, though. I feel like you need to make a name
right. Maybe I can,
prior.
I don't know, just put my resume out there on monster.com or something, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Indeed.
That'd be a cool gig, man. Just do
Indeed.
that.
Yeah, I should. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. I might have even gotten that name right. I don't know.
You almost.
Yeah, it
That's
was
It was
close.
close. It was close.
There was more B's than G's, I think.
I don't
There's
know.
no B's in his last name at all.
That's a mouthful.
Right, okay,
It's a
all
mouthful.
right.
Well, I'll tell you
He's
what.
just gonna show up to my fucking house. Like, I heard all that shit you were talking in his
No,
Dagestan accent.
you were very complimentary.
I guess
so,
you're
like,
right. I guess
really,
you're right.
if
I just
anything-
want him to show up to my house. So Right.
Hey, you did get a selfie with.
oh yeah, I got
Curtis
a
Beyblades.
His name is not Beyblades. There's a heavyweight fighter. His name is Curtis Blades. They call him Razor Blades. He's a beast, and he's fighting. Who
And
is
I
he
call him
fighting?
Curtis Beyblades.
He's fighting someone cool. Oh, he's fighting
Oh,
Francis
Beyblades.
Ngannou. That's who he's gonna fight.
The guy with the crazy hair.
The fucking huge. Yeah, he fought Stipe Miocic for the belt, and Stipe knocked him out.
Yeah.
But like
But he
everybody,
has the hair, right? Crazy. Like, is he blonde? The black guy with blonde hair.
he's a huge black. Does he have blonde hair?
Who's
He
the
ain't got
black guy with
hair.
blonde hair?
Alistair Overeem.
No, I thought it was this guy. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
Maybe.
I can't.
Anyway.
I'm really bad at recognizing fighters.
Anyway,
Really bad.
Francis Ngannou ain't no bitch. Okay.
Was that the
Stipe
one-
against
was that-
Stipe Miocic.
Was that the one where the ref kept like, you have to fight? Yeah.
This was Fran. Okay. All right. So
We're getting.
yeah. Anyway,
see,
I
this
got
is
a
where this is
picture
gonna
with
get
Curtis.
football.
That's all I'm saying. And if I used Facebook or if I used Twitter, if I used any of that shit, it would be my profile picture. Yeah, would have been my profile picture. But now it's just a picture on my phone.
Got it.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's very
I like
cool.
Curtis Blades.
He was strutting a little bit when he came back to a seat. So,
Dude,
Clearly
no,
pleased about
that guy is fuck. Oh, you're talking about me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
I didn't see Curtis Blades.
Yeah, I got a picture of that fucking kid. I'm bawling.
Right, exactly. That famous podcaster, Nick Shinn, I got a picture with him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
But that dude, Curtis Blades, he was just getting bombarded by people who wanted pictures, and he said yes to every single fucking one of them all night. Like, dude,
That's class.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was annoying. Like, it was. I felt annoyed for him, and I'm like, this is just one night.
Right.
Like, this dude does this every day.
It's interesting that, on the street, he probably wouldn't get stopped as much, but I guess when you're in your...
I didn't recognize. I was like, that's a fighter. I know it is.
I know that man.
And someone yelled, it's like Curtis Blades. And I was like, oh shit, that's Curtis Blades.
And thus,
Anyway.
the photograph was obtained.
Right.
Yeah, got him in line to he was trying to take a piss. And I harassed him while he was trying to take a piss. Said, hey man,
In
can I get a
true
picture?
fan fashion.
Right.
He said, yep, as long as we keep the line moving.
Hopefully.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, we got to keep moving, bro. You got to take a piss bad. I was like, okay.
Got it.
Picture.
Well, hopefully, he'd already zipped up and everything.
True. Yeah. Well,
This was pre-zip.
This was pre-zip. We hadn't even, the line was so damn long.
Oh, God.
He was at the urinal. I took a picture of his back of his head.
Was actually much
You were-
better provision.
Brad, can you just repeat that?
Yeah, Blades was at the urinal. Nick just got a picture of the back of his head.
Hey, man.
Cringy.
Hey, man, I'm taking a picture real quick. He's like, wait, what the fuck? And then I'm already out.
Got it.
I'm already
Next
out, back in
time.
my seat. He can't find me.
It's just like mid-turn, so blurry.
Yeah, he's just mid-turn, like, what the fuck?
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot style. I like it.
All right, man, thanks so much. Huge fan. Then I'm gone into the
Right.
mist.
All right. Well,
The urinal spray.
I have the urinal spray, the urinal mist. I'm gone into the urinal mist.
Like that. What, your pretty face is going how it's just like that.
Yeah.
well, I think
Okay.
this is as good a place as any to end this week. What do you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I've ranted and raved enough.
Well,
Yeah.
super
My breakfast
successful.
had just kicked in, so I got a little bit of extra energy. I ate some McDonald's, which I do not condone.
I have not
But-
eaten yet today, so I would like to go do that.
Sounds like I'm product placement on McDonald's right now. I don't condone it.
All right,
It's
I
not
understand.
good for you.
I
But
understand.
makes me hyper.
But it's cheap.
Yeah, it is cheap. Makes me hyper when I eat it in the morning.
Oh yeah, no
I
question
had
about
this. Okay. I was going to go off on this whole rant on how people like to shit on the fact that nuggets are made out of a pink paste, but it's like they're like 2 cents each and they're cheap and they're still edible and I don't
Right.
like
But it's edible and it's cheap.
I don't understand people's hangups over using all the parts of a fucking animal. Just eat it.
Right.
Just
Like
fucking
it
eat
has to be the breast. Can't be and or wreck.
Right. Just fucking
Like dog. What if we just took all the breast meat and the lips and rectums and grinded them
together.
into a paste and you couldn't tell the difference?
And it
Then
was
what?
super yummy.
And it's super cheap.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then it's
Anyway.
good. Then they'd sell about 1 billion of them a day, which they do. And by the way,
Right.
chicken nuggets from McDonald's, they're delicious.
They are delicious. Not good for you. I don't like. I'm always going to say that it tastes fucking good, but I do not ever condone eating it.
Right.
It's not good for you.
All right. Well, that's fair enough.
Anyway.
I mean, I think anything in excess is too much, obviously. Anything
Right,
eaten
right.
to excess.
All right. Well, you've been trying to bring this down to a close for a while, so
Yes, and we just keep dragging it out and beating it.
For the
Yeah.
past like 20 minutes, he's been trying to end. Like, no, it's
Yeah.
all about
Yeah.
MMA now.
Well, yeah,
Well,
the whole
maybe we're
MMA
just trying to
topic.
recruit you.
The whole
hey man,
It
I
is
got it.
interesting.
I got into it. I got hot. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck
you-
Husker
Yeah,
football.
with it.
yeah, there was
I'm
a
just
Yeah, I
gonna
don't
type
think
that on
we
me
I don't,
then.
I don't think we
Now
have
he's
time for
crazy
football. Whether national or college, I don't think we have the time.
clearly
Yeah.
not.
Something
No,
weird
no,
in the air about making you wanting to care about Husker football, Nebraska. I did not give a shit about the Huskers when I lived in Alabama.
It is totally a cultural
Something in the
buy-in.
air.
Yeah, it is. It's big red mist.
Yeah,
It comes off the urinal
It's
when
a
you're taking
community thing.
pictures with MMA
it's everywhere.
fighters.
It's pervasive.
Yeah, it is.
It's bullshit.
All right.
And you bought
It
into
brings us together, and I fucking.
There's going to be a lot of
I
editing.
do.
All I can tell you is
God.
this show is going to be heavily edited. That's all I can tell you. So should I play us
Fix
out?
it in post, baby.
Fix
That's
it in
right.
post. So all you need
Is fix it in
fix it in
post.
post.
That's right. All right. Shall I play us out?
All right, play
Let's
us
do
out,
it.
dog.
And now all together. A Shinn Show. A Shinn Show.
A Shinn Show.
A Shinn
What?
Show. A Shinn
Yeah.
Show. A Shinn Show.
We had a
A Shinn Show.
we had a pre-prepared fucking dialogue. I didn't know we was doing the whole.
That was
Shinn
probably
Show.
the worst communicated outro.
We can do it again. Here
That's
we go.
good though.
That's a wrap.
good. Yeah, that's
That's a
fine.
wrap.
Bro, this much family interaction I need.
That's good. It's Organico 5,000. That's the way we do it.
A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence. A Shinn Show is a production. Shut up. A Shinn Show. A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence and is brought to you by Finns in Invercargill, New Zealand. Join us
Did
next week.
Zips, dog. What the hell?
What
Fins?
Finns.
Fuck.
Why do I keep saying Finns?
It's Ziffs.
All right. Yeah.
Once more,
What is
please.
sins?
Take
Yeah.
3.
A Shinn Show is a production. A Shinn Show. A Shinn.
We're gonna lose our sponsorship.
This is what post is for, okay? Let the man work.
A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence and is brought to you by Ziffs, a fine dining establishment in Invercargill, New Zealand. Be sure and join Nick, Sarah, myself, and Bradley next week. And be sure and don't rate us on iTunes. For God's sake, avoid that.